Welcome back! Woo! Rhode Island, fucked up news!
Hey, welcome back to Rhode Island Fucked Up News. All right, guys, so this morning I woke up to yet another unsolicited text message from an anonymous phone number. Now, I do a reverse carrier look on all these phone numbers. It'll tell me exactly if you have Verizon or what. And these are coming from an app or a VIOP service. So we all know that it's Kayla, just like when she's using her fake profiles and commenting anonymously on Facebook, right? Anything that they can do to play hot potato with accountability and responsibility. But what they had to say was, see you on the 22nd, LOL. And that would be my next court date. Now, I'm not going to go over exactly what that court date is for. It is for the separation of the lawyer that intervened with this whole situation when they impersonated Rob Bonin. So for them to show up at that particular court date, I think the judge would be awfully interested, especially when I'm holding police reports from Coventry Police stating that the video that they submitted to have me swatted was obviously altered and bogus. So threatening me with the courts and all that, it's not really working anymore because I got the evidence, I got the credibility, I got the receipts to back up everything that I'm saying. If you notice, I'm still saying everything that I'm saying because I haven't been sued yet. And no matter what they try to threaten with police and shit like that, I'm still doing what I'm doing because it's freedom of speech and it's 100% legal. Now, what this will show is that anybody that tries threatening police and whatnot obviously does not know the law or respect freedom of speech. But yet they're a bunch of politicians? Doesn't make any sense. I had responded, looking forward to it. Should we invite Ron Bonin too? And then just to be cocky, because I know the way that they like to message other people out of fake concern, I had decided to respond, hey, I don't know who this is, but be careful about Kayla. She got chlamydia, and that shit's known to spur back up even 20 years later. Shit stays alive in your gut. I use needles and never caught anything. I wonder what her excuse is. Now, even when I was a savage addict, I didn't prioritize money the way that these people do. It's 100% ego and materialism that funds their campaigns against me. My search for truth is what makes me the scapegoat in the narcissistic family. Now, Tiverton Police knowing that they are not only falsifying allegations, but also taunting police interactions as well as courts, I don't understand why Tiverton Police hasn't stepped in already. You're not allowed to do that, right? That's cruel and unusual punishment. It's mental torment, and that's what you're trying to do to me, and that's what I've been complaining about for 20 years, but yet my complaints have fallen on deaf ears as the people of Tiverton allow Dave Paull to stay in power, use that clout. They allow my sister to work around the children, but yet she puts her own children around somebody who she accuses is a child molester. It's absolutely incredible. In 10 years, when it's the city of Tiverton, you're going to have all you fucking stupid assholes that are like, oh, I wonder how this happened. I wish there was a guy 10 years ago trying to tell us that it was going to be the city of Tiverton with casinos and strip malls and high-end fucking houses and everything else. Sometimes you reap what you sow in this world. I had also commented that working in the porn industry, risk exposure is tenfold. Just a heads up, I'm going to freedom of speech, the whole molestation thing, just as hard, if not harder, than you guys with my substance abuse. What you're doing is not diagnosable by the DSM-5. What you're doing is purely evil. And now, the credibility is proven. As every time something happens, you guys see me run to Facebook. Well, this is a last resort because I tried running to the police and they disregard me, right? Apparently, if you have a better job or a nicer house, more money or a prettier smile, You're allowed to get away with whatever you want. I mean, just look at the girl in Coventry that starved the dog and she got $1,000 PR. If that was a white male, they'd hang you up. You know what I mean? Absolutely unbelievable. No accountability or responsibility. That's the whole goal, right? Hot potato. I'd gone and I had made a post, right? Like I said, this is last resort. I tried police, it gone nowhere. I tried my counselors. My mom was the one paying them, right? I never had my family to count on. Who do I cry out to help for? You see what I mean? Who do I got? For real, besides my wife, which is only in the past, 4 or 5 years. You know, I've lived my whole life battling this shit alone. Starving, freezing out there, living in a tent. None of you motherfuckers that say, oh, we're your friend and happy birthday. None of you guys reached out to me. None of you guys tried to make sure that I freaking had food or whatever else. But ask my wife. I'm the first one to donate to anything because I know what it's like to suffer. You know, and anybody that's lived like me can probably relate to that. People that have suffered before tend to donate their last dollar, where people that have never suffered before turn a blind eye and stick up their nose. You know what I mean? So I had commented or posted, Kayla attempting to taunt my next court date, just like David Paull threatened in his email to my lawyer. These people know what they are doing. And the fact that so many Tiverton residents and Tiverton Police Department turn a blind eye, let the previous allegations and charges stand, and allow my sister to continue working with the kids at the middle school and Dave and counsel. I hope they cut you guys in on the profits. We even had a social worker try sticking up for them. Isn't there HIPAA laws? You know what I mean? And it's like you would think that some of these people that try white knighting for them would be like, you know, I don't want to lose my job. You know, hey, my reputation. Hey, you know, I work in politics. I want people to vote for me next time. For some reason, there's none of that risk to them. You see what I mean? There's no responsibility. There's nothing. There's just nothing. Throw caution to the wind, man. Do what the fuck you want. Rules for thee, but not for me. You see what I mean? I heard a content creator talk about once, you know, rules for thee, but not for thee. Laws only apply to the poor people, right? Because if a rich person gets, say, $100 speeding ticket, I'll just pay it, right? The poor person, that's a whole day's salary. You see what I mean? If a rich person gets, say, into even felony trouble, I'll just hire a lawyer to take care of it. To the poor person with a public defender, a serious problem. You know what I mean? But we would see John Edwards come in white knight status, also making passive-aggressive legal threats, right? You're backing up this behavior. Now, he wants to sit there and try to say that he's not friends with Dave, the guy walking around smelling like a foot and everything else. But if you were to look on John's political page alone, you're going to see all the fire department guys right there. I wonder what he would have in common with Dave Paull from the Barrington Fire Department. Over on my channel, we call this mentality the Blue Gang. I got your back, brother. Remember that cop that was running around the high school with the taser blasting it everywhere? Remember the few Tiverton cops that were like, oh yeah, you know, we were aware, but we didn't want him to lose his job, right? And it's like, yeah, protect and serve your wallets. And that's what I was saying way back then, right? Not the kids. Trust me, man. They're in there for each other, right? They're here to farm money off of all of us, to farm power, clout, to be in control, just like we see the superpowers of the world, except it's micromanaged down to a town. You know what I mean? To be a big fish in a small pond, I guess I'll say. Also, if you go over to John's personal page, you're going to see right on the back his picture with his dog, and you got Dave making the dog park over there and everything else with the 3 amigos from Tiverton. Now, these are going to be the people that people are pointing the finger at directly when it comes to the overdevelopment of Tiverton and things like the vandalism, I'll call it, of the Lafayette House. Now, the Tiverton people did not approve or appreciate the demolition of that house. So what do you call this now? You took something away or you destroyed something that belonged to the people. That's vandalism, right? Y'all vandalized the fucking Lafayette House so y'all can build another multi-million-dollar development for the wealthy, huh? Like they think that Tiverton is the new Aspen or something. Why is rent more in Tiverton than in Newport? I gotta know. You know what I mean? Do you guys have better beaches, a better downtown scene? You know, what is it? You guys got Fall River right next door, and you guys got dope coming over the line like crazy. Fucking 1 out of 5 kids in the high school will become addicted to dope because of this. But hey, we should pay more for over here, right? In our safe community. That's what people try to play it off as. And we brought this up and we related it right to John's wife's Facebook, as everything is picture perfect, right? And this is what everybody wants their life to be over in Tiverton, right? Picture perfect. We can afford everything. Everything is so beautiful to put on social media. But anybody that knows anything knows that typically the people that try to pretend to be perfect on social media are really the most antagonized ones in real life, the ones that really have something to hide, right? And they call it good person stance. When you try to appear perfect to the community, but yet your husband's accused of some corruption and shit. And you would see that if you look on my family's Facebooks, they all look very similar, right? Everything is cropped perfect, picture perfect, right? People are posing like they're in a JCPenney catalog, I usually like to say. You know what I mean? And it's all what my mom would call plastic back in the day. Now, this right here was something I wanted to bring up, because you're going to see that the date is 2016. This is my mom's last known picture with her own sister. All right, her name's Nancy. Now, that's my godmother. I've had no relationship with Nancy for years, not because of my substance abuse. No, we were still talking after I got clean. We had an argument about my little cousin Frankie and my mom going to visit him when he got out of jail, when he got arrested for, guess what? Sexual charges. That's right. Frank Ferreira, my cousin, is Massachusetts sexual offender. Why is hypersexuality rampant in my family? If you ask any professional, they're going to agree with me that this is a symptom of people that were abused in childhood. And there's a reason that lifelong friends cut ties with these people, their own family members. Where was Rick's side of the family at his funeral? Where's my mom's sister, my mom's son today? Everybody's disposable as long as we get Les Hawthworth's money and land and $1.1 million house. Thank you guys for checking out my update. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Romney. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on all things narcissism. And this video is part of sort of a little series we have on family roles in narcissistic family systems. Listen, we're talking about a lot of different family roles today. We're going to talk about the scapegoat, probably one of the most classical narcissistic family roles. If that's any of you, love to hear your story, or just own it down below, because I think that when you see yourself in one of these family roles, you'll see there's a lot of people there where you are. So let's take on this issue of the scapegoat. And before we get there, as always, please subscribe to this channel, get notifications by hitting that bell, and if you like this video, give it a like. So let's talk about the scapegoat. A scapegoat is a person who is blamed for the mistakes or sins of another person. It's a term that apparently has biblical origins. This is often done, scapegoating is often done to get the scapegoater off the hook and leaves the scapegoat holding the bag, and the beat goes on. So when we talk about scapegoating from a narcissistic family roles perspective, we are talking about the family member, usually a child, who takes on the blame, rage, frustration, disappointments of the narcissistic parent or other narcissistic family members. It's a devastating role within a family because children cannot make sense of why they are blamed for something, especially something they really didn't do. It leaves a child wondering, how the heck are they supposed to get it right, or how can they be enough, just to get the parent to stop scapegoating them. And scapegoating can be part of a larger family dynamic called family mobbing. in which there is an overall enabling which fosters everyone scapegoating one family member. That scapegoat doesn't only just get it from the narcissistic parent, they get it from everyone. This can manifest in many ways, including teasing, insulting, saying things like, hey, maybe one day you could be your brother's maid, or you ruined my life. I would have had an amazing career if you weren't born. Or a parent who had a bad day at work coming home and saying, if I didn't have enough problems and now I have to deal with you. Or parent says, maybe if you weren't such a bad kid, I wouldn't get so mad at you. The phenomenon of scapegoating is deeply painful, and sadly, it doesn't stop when childhood ends. Many people report that the scapegoating goes well into adulthood and never really stops. You are still insulted, still blamed for a whole range of family issues, still told that you are the reason for your parents' misery. Why do narcissistic family systems scapegoat? Because scapegoating is a form of projection, of deflection, of not taking responsibility, of punishing people that are not congruent with the narcissistic parent's grandiose self. Scapegoated children tend to not represent the parent in the way the parent wants. This may be the child that doesn't look the way the parent wants, or who isn't good at school, or who isn't good at sports. This can be particularly true of boys who are scapegoated by narcissistic dads. Kids who aren't slender enough, who simply do not possess qualities that the narcissistic parent values in themselves and want projected to the world. Because a narcissistic parent merely views a child as an extension of themselves and have little interest in learning about their children as separate entities, children who don't measure up on whatever parameter the narcissistic parent wants are often scapegoated. Now, scapegoating is very bad for a child and a child's mental health. It's emotional abuse, plain and simple. These are children who go on as adults to struggle with anxiety, with feeling not enough, who may not feel empowered to pursue their goals because those mocking voices are always in their heads, who may continue to be blamed for family issues and feel ongoing guilt that their narcissistic parents and family system may perpetuate. And then there is the risk that the scapegoated child in adulthood becomes more likely to fall into more scapegoated relationships. So these could happen at work, in romantic relationships, and with friends. They remain the scapegoat throughout their lives. Being scapegoated can also set a person up for risk of a range of psychological issues, including anxiety, depression, a poor sense of self-worth, post-traumatic stress symptoms, difficulties with emotional or behavioral regulation, and a greater risk for maladaptive coping, including drugs and alcohol, food, or acting out, or even body distortions. After a lifetime of being told you aren't attractive enough, you can easily see how a person will look at themselves through that lens, and that can culminate in eating disorders or body dysmorphic patterns. There's also a risk of falling into a pattern of victimhood if you were scapegoated. Resist the temptation to do this because it can hold you back. It is easier to accept that the system is broken and you climbed out of it than to view yourself as a recipient of abuse that cannot help yourself. Don't let their abuse define you. Trauma bonding can be a major issue for scapegoats whose first initiation into so-called love was really about abuse, and as such, they may be at greater risk for equating love with abuse and their ancient scripts of feeling worthless and unlovable. But there is some bright light, believe it or not. for the scapegoat, and I really believe this. This is the group, if they can find the gumption and give themselves permission to be able to walk away from these toxic family systems, especially with the scapegoated person who receives therapy, they may finally be able to give themselves permission to set a boundary, go no contact, stop taking responsibility for the family BS, and not be surprised when nothing is left to them in a will. And when they are still told by parents and siblings alike that it's your fault. While the trauma bond risk always lurks, if a scapegoat can find the mental health help they need or can find escape, ideally both, they may be less likely to participate in the broken system. Scapegoats may be more likely to just cut and run and leave the family system, move far away, create a life in another place, and that geography can make it easier to maintain distance and boundaries. Even though we know narcissists are capable of taunting you from the other side of the planet, the scapegoats might be more likely to give themselves permission to escape than the golden child or other family role types. What happens if you call your family system out about the narcissistic dynamic? Not surprisingly, they will just scapegoat you more. Taking responsibility is not a narcissistic family's strong suit, so they will gaslight you and tear you down more and more. Pointing out the issues in the system will just re-traumatize you, so there really is no point. Interestingly, after your family narcissists burn down all of their bridges, they may one day turn to you for help. After all, they never valued you much to begin with. It's up to you if you offer it or not. They have conveniently short memories, brought that up in the narcissistic amnesia video, for how they hurt you. And since they always just viewed you as an object or an extension of themselves, they are entitled enough to believe you will help them despite all they did to you.